In this video, I'm going to show you 7 more effects and tools that you can use in Davinci Resolve, like this sky replacement and this color changing tool. Okay, so first up, we've got this Defocus Background effect. This is super helpful if you want to make a subject pop, or it can be really great for talking head videos when you need that slight blur to the background if you can't do that with your camera focus. So what you need to do, once you've got your footage on your timeline, is head over to the color page. Then over here in the node window, you need to add a new serial node. You can do this by pressing Option S. Now you need to mask out your subject for this to work. I'm going to use the Magic Mask feature in Davinci Resolve Studio, but if you don't have this, then just use the pen tool to cut out your subject. Once you've done that, select your new serial node, then go up here to the right and select Effects. Then you need to search for Defocus Background and drag this onto your serial node. Now here you can play around with the settings, just increase or decrease the intensity until the background looks the way that you need it to. Now as you can see, this has applied the defocus, but if I move forward slightly, you'll see that the defocus then goes away. Now that's because you need to track your clip. So I'm just going to track this forwards and backwards. Once you've done this, you should then have a subject that's in focus while the background is defocused. Okay, so next up we've got this cool outline animation effect. So you need to add your photo to your timeline, then select the photo and go to the Fusion tab. Then select the media in one node and press Shift plus spacebar. Now you need to search for paint and add this. Then you need to select the polygon tool. That's this little icon here. Once you've selected the polygon tool, you then need to draw around your subject. Now bear in mind, the lines that you draw is the animation that you're going to see at the end. Once you've drawn the outline around your subject, you then need to go to your stroke controls in the inspector tab and turn right on all the way down to 0. And then you need to put a keyframe next to it. Then put your playhead where you want the animation to stop and increase the right on all the way back up. Now at this point, you can also play with some of the other settings. For example, you could change the color of the outline. And then when you hit play, you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so next up, I want to show you this effect where you can add things to surfaces such as clothing. In order to do this, we need to use the surface tracker tool. Now I've used it here to add a logo to a t-shirt, but there are obviously many ways that you could use it. So again, the first step is to add your footage to your timeline, select it, and then you need to go to the color page. Now over here in effects, you need to search for surface tracker, and then you need to drag this into the node window so it creates its own node. Next, you want to connect the green square to the green arrow, and then on the right hand side of the node, you want to connect that green square to the green circle. Now here in the settings, make sure that you've got bounds selected. Then you need to draw a shape on your subject, so this will be where your logo or your image sits. So I'm just going to draw a basic square here on my t-shirt. Then over here in the settings, select track and then track your clip. Now once Davinci Resolve has finished processing, you need to open the media pool here on the color page and then drag your image or your logo onto the node window. Now this needs to be a PNG image unless you want the background to show within your clip. With this image node, you need to connect the green square to the second green arrow on the surface tracker node and connect the top blue square to the bottom blue arrow on the surface tracker node. Now you'll see that's added the logo to the t-shirt. Now select the surface tracker node, then select go to reference. Now you should see this white square appear around your image or your logo, and you can use this to make small adjustments if you need to. Now next, what I'd like to do is go down to compositing, and under composite type, you need to change this to what suits your image best. So I'm going to choose soft light. Now this will change the logo so it looks a lot more like it's printed on a t-shirt. This helps add to the effect. Now if I head back over to the edit page, you can see that logo is now on my t-shirt. You should have something that looks like this. Next up, we've got this cool arrow animation. Now you can use this method for any sort of shape or drawing that you do in the Fusion page. It's somewhat similar to the outline animation we did earlier, but I just want to show you it in another context so you understand. So for this example, I'm just going to use an arrow. So you want to add your photo to your timeline, then select it and go to the Fusion page. Now select the media in one node and press Shift plus spacebar and search for paint, and then click on add to add this paint node. Next, put the playhead where you want your animation to start. Then you need to select the polygon tool and then draw the line of the arrow. Now over here in the inspector tab under brush controls, you can play with the settings to change the size of the brush and the line. Once you're happy with the way it looks, go down to stroke controls and put a keyframe next to right on and decrease this all the way to 0. Now put your playhead where you want the animation to stop and increase the right on all the way. Next, select the polygon tool again and draw the arrow head that you want. Now again, under stroke controls, put a keyframe next to right on and decrease this all the way to 0. Now move the playhead forward again to the point you want the animation to stop and turn the right on all the way back up. And now when you hit play, you should have an animation that looks something like this. Okay, so the next effect that I want to show you is this ability to change the color of things within your footage, like you can see happening here. So again, put your footage on your timeline, select it and go to the color page. Now you need to select this icon, which is the qualifier tool. Now you need to make sure the highlight icon is also selected. That's this little black and white circle up here. Now with the qualifier tool, select the object or the thing that you want to change the color of. Now once you've done that, go to the qualifier tool with the little plus next to it. Now just go through your footage and select parts of your object that weren't selected under the original selection. You can also use the qualifier tool with a little minus next to it if you add something that you don't want to change. Once you've done that and you're happy with your selection, go to the curves tab, and then you need to select hue versus hue. That's this little icon here with the two segmented circles. And then you can select anywhere within this curves table to change the color of the thing that you want to change. Now depending on your clip and the object that you want to change, this can be a bit tedious, so just take your time and play around with it until you get it exactly the way that you need it to look. Now this next effect lets you replace something within your footage. This is great for removing small things like marks or blemishes. So again, put your footage on your timeline and select it, and then go to the Fusion page. Select the media in one node, and then press Shift plus Spacebar, and then you need to search for the patch replacer. Now you'll see in the preview window that you get two circles show up. Now basically what happens here is the circle on the right is an exact copy of what the circle on the left is showing. So move the circle on the right over the mark or the blemish that you want to remove. Now you can change the sizing with these four little corners here. And then you need to move the circle on the left over an area that you like the look of. And as you can see, the area on the left circle has now been copied over to the area in the right circle. Okay, so that brings us to the last effect. And with this effect, we're going to change the sky in our footage, and we can even add things like clouds within the clip. So again, add your clip to your timeline, select your clip and go to the color page. And then you just need to mask out your sky. So I'm going to use the magic mask tool, but if you don't have this, then you can just use the pen tool to mask out your sky and any objects that are in the way. Now over here, go to effects and search for sky replacement. And then you need to drag this onto your node window. And then you need to connect the green square to the green arrow and the blue square to the blue arrow. And then make sure on the output that the green square is connected to the green circle. Next, under artificial sky, make sure you've got the artificial sky box selected, and then you can play with the opacity of the sky. So if I move this left and right, you can see that it adds and removes it. You can change the sky color and the horizon color if you want. Now you can also select this artificial clouds box, and then if you change the opacity, you can add and remove clouds to the sky. Now again, you can change the color of these if you want. Now there's lots of settings here, so just play around with these sliders until your sky looks the way that you want it to look. And that's how you replace the sky. And that's all 7 effects done. I hope this helped you to create something awesome with your own work. Make sure you check out my last video where I go through 7 cool text effects in Davinci Resolve. Please don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and stay tuned for the next one.